Back at the start of the year, we made a video called 10 Things I Hate About Our Land Rover Defender, and for some reason it seemed to confuse quite a lot of people and resulted in some quite interesting comments on here, our YouTube channel. And it is quite confusing because, after all, I thought I made it quite clear that I did in fact like this car very much. I like this Defender very much. There is a lot I like about this Defender. Now, I do love the way the Defender looks. I loved it from the day that it was launched, which I should add, I do actually like very much indeed. And so, to appease our comment section once more, here's another video that undoubtedly some people will interpret negatively for absolutely no reason at all. Hello, my name's John Marcar, you're watching Driven, and this is 10 things I love about our Land Rover Defender. So, point number 1. It's quite posh. Now, as you might have guessed or picked up from my slight Wimbledonian accent, I like to spend more than's probably necessary on everyday items, and this, a van, is one of those items. Sure, I could have picked up a Transit Custom or Transit Connect or Peugeot Partner or a Mercedes-Benz Citan, whatever the hell that is, but no, I opted for this, the Land Rover Defender 110 Hardtop, a car that I like very much, let me remind you. And I did so because it looks the best, it's smart, it's posh. To a lot of people, it just looks like another car. But also because this, despite the fact that it is a van, well, this can go places that most other vans cannot. Which brings me perfectly onto point number 2. This has fantastic off-road capabilities. That's probably no surprise given that it's a Land Rover product, especially not given that it's a Defender. But the car itself is packed full of really, really clever electronic aids to go off-road. Things like low grip launch. If you get stuck in a really muddy rut, this thing just kind of figures out where to put the power down and pulls you through. And there are other clever things like inbuilt settings, mud ruts, grass, gravel, snow, rock crawling, you name it. There are all sorts of different settings that the very clever computers inside this car just know how to figure out, and therefore know where to put the power down. And it's also quite good fun, as I shall explain to you in this sequence of video. Point number 3, it's tidy and smart. And yes, I know in the video where I moaned about things, I mentioned that when the interior is full of things, it does get a bit messy, which it does. But when it's not, there aren't many other vans or commercial vehicles that look quite as good as this. The layout is exactly the same as what you would find in the car variant of Land Rover Defender, which means you get all the same luxuries, the lovely center screen, and the ability to look through things like the amazing camera system all around the car. Which brings me on nicely to point number 4, the cameras. This thing is absolutely loaded with cameras. They are everywhere. Here, 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 and here, 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 and here. And that means you get to do really clever things, such as some really clever camera trickery. See what we did there? Now you'll notice on the screen, this is our reverse view, but here on this monitoring view, we've got the possibility of all sorts of different camera angles. So if you're reversing out of a junction, you've got a slightly wider angle from left to right. Same goes for up front. You can either have a slightly wide left and right, or a more linear up front. But then it gets even cleverer because you can alternate the angles to look at the car from the outside. Now this is done by stitching all of those bits together from each individual camera, and it gives you the ability to see what's around, how close you might be to a ridge, or how close to a white line in a parking space. But then it gets even cleverer, because if I turn the car on and put it into gear, it will still work whilst we're moving. And even does really clever things like knows when the brake lights are on and off, and when the indicators are on and off. And it means that you can roll along being filmed as if we had a drone on the outside. And that, I think, is pretty clever. But then that's not the only screen. There's also this one over here, which shows my satellite view from above. Quite clever tech. And that brings me on to point number 5. Some more clever tech, and that is quick references to size and dimensions. Now, because this is the hardtop version of the Defender, it means that I don't have the adjustable air suspension. I instead have the coil springs. That means my height is very much fixed. And so there are sometimes points where I'm entering car parks or going down tight lanes or going through width restrictions where I think, ooh, how wide is this thing? Can you remember the exact dimensions of your car? Nope, neither can I. But luckily, Land Rover have thought of that. And with this screen again, with the push of a button, I get a full breakthrough of my height, length, my wheelbase, and also things like ramp angles for going up and down. And this is very, very helpful for when you're driving off-road or for when you need to get into the John Lewis multi-storey car park. Point number 6, heated everything. Now, because this is a Land Rover Defender and a vehicle that is designed to go to lots of different places, sometimes those lots of different places can be quite cold. And fortunately, this thing keeps you nice and warm. So, as you might expect, we have heated seats for both the passenger and for the driver. But then, up at the steering wheel, we also have a heated wheel. And because this is a Land Rover, it means that the heated wheel and the heated seats are exceptionally warm, even when you're wearing a big, thick winter coat and winter gloves. And on that point, all of the buttons, as you might have noticed in here, are accessible and pressable whilst wearing big winter gloves. They've actually thought about this. And there's one other thing that's heated, and it's here, the windscreen. With some very tiny heated elements, it means that in the winter, when this thing's covered in ice and snow, with the push of a button, it will clear in just a minute or two. Point number 7. This doesn't have to be a van. And to prove that point, I'm going to open this up. Oh, how did you get there? Now, this doesn't have to be a van because it can be turned back into a car. And it's actually not that complicated to do because these commercial hardtop versions of the Defender are built on exactly the same production line as the car variants. So with the right tools and kit, you can take out this bulkhead, you can remove these big storage bins down here, and you can even reinstall the seatbelt mounting points that are here to put the rear seats back in, get the bulkhead out, and then suddenly this is a car again. But then there's the window covers, which are just covers. These simply pull off, and so did the ones at the back. These panels here are just plastic panels, and if you have a quick look here, the glass is underneath, meaning you can just pop it all off and turn it back into a car. But if you are thinking about turning your commercial vehicle back into a car, please do some research and reading, because if you're using a car for a purpose that it's not quite classified for or taxed for, then people are going to get quite grumpy. And also, your insurance company is likely to get a little bit grumpy as well. But that does bring me on to my next point, point number 8, tax. And by tax, I do of course mean tax benefits, because this is the hardtop and the commercial vehicle, it means that we, as Driven, when we bought it, were able to get some money back from the taxman, or taxwoman, or tax person. We paid, at Driven, £60,000 for this exact car, and as a result, immediately got £10,000 back in value-added tax. It also means that whatever we use this vehicle for, we, as long as it is for company purposes, get all of the duty back on our fuel, accessories, tyres, servicing, all that sort of stuff. And that makes it quite a good value car. Penultimate point. Point number 9. Accessories and stuff. Now at the moment we are quite plain, aside from the addition, which the eagle-eyed of you might have noticed, some new wheels and tyres, more on that in another video very soon. These things have got an almost endless list of potential accessories that you can fit to them. And in fact, almost from the minute they were launched they did. You could get accessory lights, you could get roof racks, you can even get roof tents, you can fit winches to the front, you can have slightly wider wheels, you can put mud flaps on them, you can put additional LED lights down at the bottom. You can raise these things, you can lower these things. The list is almost endless. And in terms of stuff, I don't think there is any other vehicle on the market right now that has so many different things available to it. Which is probably a good time to say, if you are a company that provides stuff for Land Rover Defenders, my email address is hello@driven.site. Final point, point number 10. 2 points actually in this one: reliability and security. Yep, I know you're about to hit the comment section, you're all laughing at home, but here's the thing. Firstly, in terms of reliability, I've had this car now for a year and a half. And in that time, I have had not one single thing break. Nothing. Absolutely nada. And I have no financial incentive or reward for saying that in this video. The truth is, I've had no issues. And you'll probably remember from my 10 Things I Hate video, we ended with a rather tongue-in-cheek sequence which saw a real baddie come and try and steal our car. Well, whilst I've had no genuine issues with that, there has been a recent security recall making these things even harder to break into. So when they are locked, you've got the peace of mind in knowing that nobody's actually going to be able to get into your car. And that's quite good, especially if an absolute rotter like this is trying to get into the car. But if you do see an absolute rotter trying to get into your car and you want to scare them off, you can with a panic button, and it's horrible. Oh. And so there we have it. 10 things I love about our Land Rover Defender, a car that I categorically do like very, very much indeed. Hey, now, let's all head to the comment section to see some inevitably confused people get very angry about absolutely nothing at all. This is going to be fun. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see everything else we do at driven.site. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.